Gen Z and young millennials, let's start preparing for the upcoming war because we might get drafted. I just turned 29 on March 14th, and a lot of talks are saying that we might go to war and we might get drafted. So let's see. Let's find out what these people have to say.
To all my men and women ages 18 through 26, men and women, y'all might as well keep y'all head on the swivel because Trump just signed that defense law. Y'all remember that law stating if they need more men, more feet on the ground, more manpower to go to war, if World War III crank up a notch? You know that Venezuela shit going on, but if this shit crank up a notch, they ain't got enough defense power, so they can start drafting y'all. Some of us remember this shit. I was terrified like third, fourth grade when I heard like they can come get us from our door, take us from our family. I heard about some shit like that when I was younger. So if you know, you know. I was spooked in that bitch. Really? But yeah, all my YNs with the buttons and the switches, I'm broke. Y'all could just meet them over there. Y'all can go ahead over there. Y'all ain't gotta ask permission. Boom. Ages 18 through 26, man. I'm a young. I ain't involved in the category, but yeah, man, I mean, like, don't pack your bags. But I'm saying, if they need more feet on land, more manpower, they can definitely draft you, man. Trump just passed that defense law, man. Go look it up. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Nino Bank.
Well, break and fuck the news and fuck all of us, I guess, because it looks like the U.S. military draft is now talking about 18 through the ages of 39. Bruh, I'm 30. On top of that, I'm diagnosed with schizophrenia, and I've been since the age of 16. Am I even useful for this? However, though, the only thing I can see is, like, unless you got bone spurs, you're going. Bro, I'm not about to fucking die for this billionaire, bro. Fuck y'all.
Well, military draft rules have changed just in time for the war in Iran. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a measure to automatically register men for the Selective service, updating requirements for the first time in decades. Just as we're in war now, to be fair, they did pass this in December. The rule change goes into effect this coming December 2026. All males aged 18 to 26 will be automatically registered for Selective service.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this.
President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table.
When this happened in Vietnam, during the Vietnam War, it was pretty much right away. They didn't wait until they ran out of soldiers.
The Draft Lottery, a live report on tonight's picking of the birth dates for the draft.
No, it happens pretty quickly, so don't think, well, we'll wait and see, and once we see a bunch of American soldiers dying in Iran, then they're going to do the draft. No, they might do the draft on us pretty quickly. A lot of young men, before they were sent off to Vietnam, when they received their induction notices, a lot of them did a lot of pretty extreme things in order to avoid being shipped off to war. My dad was telling me about some of the things that some of his friends did. Like one guy paid a friend to hit his leg with a sledgehammer. Another looked at a bright light in a factory and tried to make himself go blind. Young men are viewed as pawns on a chessboard to be taken out in order to protect the king. Their government, the oligarchs, the corrupt, greedy, money-making warmongers in Washington want to use them for cannon fodder.
So yesterday, Congress signed a bill that basically said if you are the ages from 18 to 26, if there was a war, my nigga, you're getting drafted. If you are a U.S. citizen or a U.S. citizen out of the states, you're a first-round draft pick. They're calling your name on draft. If you got a form of a disability, first-round draft pick. If you are a refugee or an asylum seeker, first-round draft. If you was born a male and transitioned into a woman, first-round draft. I'm telling y'all niggas right now, if these niggas get drafted, we're going to lose. If we put an 18 to 26-year-olds on front line, my nigga, we're losing the whole war. I don't care who we fighting. We gonna lose as a state, country, my nigga. We gonna lose as a nation. 18 to 23-year-olds are not built like how they were back then, my nigga. It's different now. Half the draft age group grew up on Fortnite, 2K, and YouTube. And we putting these niggas front line, my nigga, we're doomed. And the second thing I thought of is, nigga, why don't y'all ask the niggas in prison to go front line? Go draft them niggas, what the fuck? It's some niggas in there that's fiending to catch a body. They've been waiting their whole life for this moment. But instead, we have a higher chance of ISO Speed and Aiden Ross going toe-to-toe with motherfucking Russia. Man, go to a prison right now. I guarantee you gonna see about 1,000 Kimbo Slices, about 1,500 Shaquille O'Neals. Shit, nigga, you might see a Goku-ass nigga in that bitch.
Here's how the World War III draft is going to work. Number 1, registration age, 18 to 25. Men in the U.S. must register with the Selective service system when they turn 18. This only puts their name in the system. Number 2, draft must be approved. A draft only starts if Congress and the president approves it during a major war or national emergency, which is basically happening right now. Number 3, lottery picks who goes first. Birthdays are drawn randomly. The birthdays picked first are called first for evaluation. Number 4, screening process. Those selected go through medical, mental, and background checks. Many people are rejected here. Number 5, military training. Anyone who qualifies is sent to basic training before being assigned a military job.
Well, strap your boots and get your parachutes. Did you hear what the Army just imposed? I thought I had a clean slate being Unc and all. Since I'm about to be 31 years of age, they're about to raise the height. They dropped the new enlistment range from the ages of 34 to 42 years of age. You imagine turning 42 years of age this year, you got a whole family, things already surfacing around you, and they give you a call like, hey, you qualify. And they're saying that this is starting April 20th, like if they can't start it today. Why is there a mixtape release to this new news that you're giving us? See, I'm gonna treat this like jury duty and I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? They can't lock us all up. They're gonna have to find a 43-year-old that's willing to do the job. You know what I mean? 31 wasn't mentioned, but I'm assuming, you know what I mean? They just skipped through all of that, you know, because I'm not fighting for anybody in the files. I'm not fighting for our government. I'm not doing it. They really got to do is all the world leaders get into a room, lock themselves up, and handle it themselves. Why we got to be the bystanders in this thing that's going on? It don't even make logical sense on fighting people that we don't know. That's family. That's family, everybody in the West. Everybody in the East, North, South. Find somebody else. I ain't doing it.
So let's say you do get drafted. You do get randomly picked. Are you going to join the war or are you going to go to jail? Me, to be honest, I don't know. There's got to be some sort of reward. Like if I choose to go join the war and fight, maybe pay me $500,000 a year. There's got to be some sort of reward, right? Because I don't know, it doesn't seem fair. Last night I took some ASVAB practice questions and I scored 20 out of 20. You know, I might just join Air Force instead, because Air Force, from what I've heard, is way better than other U.S. military branch. So I don't know.
Gen Z needs to be shaking because they've now reintroduced the draft. You guys are going to war and you're probably going without your permission. There's a lot to this story. Let's talk about it. This is the National Defense Authorization Act. It was recently passed, even though they've been having this conversation since about 2020. This is going to authorize all men that are 18 through 26 to automatically register for the draft. We're going to get to that registration process in a minute. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but stick beside me. So they've been having a conversation about the men going and the women going since about 2021. People tried to introduce bills to get the girls to go, but now they've officially said the men and people that were men in a former life have to go. So before we get into the meat and the bones, let's get to exactly what they require. Almost all men who are 18 through 25 years old that live in the U.S. must register for the Selective service. Now that Selective service, that is going to be like a database that if you do not sign up for, it is going to be a class action felony. Now back in the day, if you avoided the draft, you couldn't get student loans, you couldn't get certain government jobs, they might play with your wages, and I think the last resort was just throwing you in jail. Now they're giving you a felony 1. And the Selective service is basically going to be able to be like, even if you try to hide, we're going to find you. We got your name in the database, we know who you are, we know who your people are, we know that they got a son, and they about to come get you. So here's the list of everything you got to be. Again. U.S. citizen, born in the U.S., dual citizen, or naturalized. Isn't that deep? So you think you got away with something being a citizen of Portugal, the U.K., something spicy, and they said even a naturalized citizen, somebody who wasn't born here and now is here, or a dual citizen, baby, you got to go. A U.S. citizen who lived outside the country. Now that's a big one, because back when they had their regular draft, people would escape to Europe. They would go to colleges in other countries, escape to different... You know, they just went away, baby. Escape to Canada. That was another good place. Now they cannot do that. They will come get you. And they got you all in that selective service database. Immigrants, they're not playing. I'm telling you. Refugees or asylum seekers, that's crazy. Could you imagine avoiding war in your country and then they make you go to war over here? Transgender people who are assigned gender at birth, very scary. They're going to have the girls out there. And then people with disabilities, well, what's the daggone point of that? You out there with a disability, what really can you, contribute if you've already disabled, not trying to be ableist, but shouldn't they be at home? I'm telling y'all, at this point, they don't care. See, what they're scared of is that there's not enough people signing up for the military. And a lot of people are trying to go to war with us. People have declared us enemies, and there may be something brewing. And they want to be like, hey, we don't got enough people signing up, just grab everybody. And that's really, really scary because this generation, now how much do I talk about y'all being on drugs? Y'all, we got a bunch of drug addicts on the front line. Y'all full of Molly Percocets and you supposed to be holding a gun? Baby. Now, another thing that's very interesting about this bill is the money allotted. Billions of dollars. Do you know that Joe Biden was appointed about $24 billion than he was supposed to get when they were funding all this? It's like $700-something billion, and I'm not kidding. And it's supposed to go into adding more to our military. So it says the bill authorizes appropriations to DOD for procurement, including aircraft, weapons, traffic, combat vehicles, shipping, building, converse missiles, and space procurement. This is all to go to war, okay? Research, development, test evaluations, operation and management, working capital funds, chemical agents, and munitions destruction. Munitions destructions, I don't know that word, but it scares me. Drug interdiction and counter drug activities, Defense Inspector General, Defense Health Program, the Armed Forces Retirement Home, overseas contingency operations, and military construction. So that's what they're going to pour those billions of dollars. There's people on the street. People are hungry. People are breaking into cars all over California because they don't have housing. And we're pouring billions and billions and billions into our military, and then we're making our kids go. Because y'all know I don't play. I get straight to the point, and I get the calling things, okay? Now, this is what the bill is set up for as far as policies. This is all of what's going on. North Korea nuclear sanctions, paid family leave for federal personnel, limiting the use of criminal history in federal hiring and contracting, defense equipment sales to foreign countries or international organizations, matters relating to Burma, Saudi Arabian human rights and accountability, measures to combat illicit trafficking that finances al-Shabaab, sanctions with respect to foreign traffickers of illicit synthetics and opioids, and the cable security fleet to meet national crime. That is why they say we're going. So this is supposed to be the cause? I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think, but it's scary. And the sad thing about it has nothing to do with me. Everybody around me 30 and up.
Let's talk about the draft. Here in the United States, we have the Selective Service System, which dictates that all males between the ages of 18 and 25 are automatically enrolled into this system so that if there is a national emergency and war is declared, we can enact the draft or conscription services. If you are a male between the ages of 18 and 25 and you fit one of these criteria, you are required by U.S. law to register within the draft system. U.S. citizen, a U.S. dual citizen, regardless of what country you live in. A legal permanent resident, that means that you have a green card. An undocumented immigrant, I'm sure you can't wait to fight for the United States. Refugees and asylum seekers, because, trying to escape war from your own country. I'm sure you wanted to fight for us instead. And men with expired visas. This also includes anybody living in Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Northern Marianas Islands, and any American Samoa that has been living in the United States for at least 1 year. Those exempt from the draft are women, men on active duty, non-immigrant visa holders. This means diplomats, students, and tourists. Men who have been continuously institutionalized between the ages of 18 and 25 for at least 30 days with no less than 30 days in between being housed. Basically, if you've been in an institution or a correctional facility for years and years and years, you are not eligible for the draft. And men born before 1960. Congratulations, we didn't make the cut. Although it should be noted that Congress is currently debating whether or not women should actually be required within the SSS. So let's say a national emergency is declared and the draft is enacted. Who's up first? Glad you asked. And that is any man who is 20 or turned 20 years old this year in 2026. And why this year specifically, you ask? Because in 2024, the House of Representatives passed the automatic registration of the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA. What that means is starting December 18th of this year is that all men are automatically enrolled on the SSS as soon as they turn 18, because technically right now, if you have turned 18 and you are between the ages of 18 and 25 and you haven't registered yourself for the SSS, you're technically committing a felony. Yeah, you watching this right now, if you haven't registered for the draft, you're a felon. This means that you might not be able to be employed by the federal government, or you might not be eligible for certain federal government assistance. Now, technically, the U.S. does require both the presidential and congressional approval to enact the draft. However, this administration has not actually gone to Congress for approval for anything so far. So I don't think that Congress approval is gonna be needed, but that's just my personal opinion. What I do think is extremely noteworthy, though, is the fact that this program, the Selective Service System program, the cost of maintaining it is over $30 million every single year. And the reason I bring this up is because it's well known that the SSS system isn't actually effective, because even if people register, which most people don't, and by people I mean men, most of these men don't update their addresses as they move. So even if the draft were to be enacted tomorrow, they wouldn't be able to contact most of the people on the list because the information isn't up to date, because our government is incredibly inept. Experts on the subject have unanimously agreed that this is not an effective system, and having a draft doesn't mean that people are gonna show up. In effect, it is useless. It is a vestigial limb that just costs taxpayers money. And the only reason it is still around is because both Republicans and Democrats refuse to let it go, because they want to make sure that when the U.S. goes to war, because it's not an if, it's a when, they want to make sure they have an endless supply of humans to throw onto the front lines. Uncle Sam wants you, and at the end of this year, you're going to be on the list, whether you ask to be or not. If you would like to register for the draft, you can go to USA.gov, and if you wear a red hat, you better goddamn go there right the fuck now. Because nothing is more American than starting a war for oil and sending off our young people to die for it. This message is brought to you by the No New Wars president.
Well, I guess we don't have enough people in the military, or at least we don't have enough youthful fighters, because they increased the enlistment age to 42 years old. And that's right around my age. And I'm trying to figure out who the fuck in their 40s would even consider joining the military. Like, are you serious? Most people my age, they can't even stay up past 9 o'clock. Motherfuckers my age is at the store trying to buy honey packs and get Viagra prescriptions just to engage in sexual activity. And you talking about putting them in the military, especially now when we dealing with Iran and y'all might have to put boots on the ground. I would love to see a gang of 40-year-old men on the ground in Iran dealing with that type of shit, when most motherfuckers my age probably haven't had a fight in the last 10 years. What a weird time to be alive. But anyway, if you 40 years old and even considering that shit, God bless you, because you got to be one of the stupidest motherfuckers alive.
So I've been noticing some patterns. Unemployment rates are to the roof. It's hard to find a job. And AI is replacing all the jobs, leaving people useless. So what do we do with these people who are useless? Send them to war and die? I mean, there's some correlation, right? Because maybe one day we may not need a lot of people, because we will have AI, robots to be doing our jobs. So basically they're just kind of killing off the Gen Z and young millennials, just trying to cut us off from the lineage. I don't know, like, what do you think?
It is March 2nd, 2026, and World War III is upon us, so I decided to make my list of my World War III draft picks. This is who's going to get drafted. Well, if I was picking. First up is ICE agents. They signed up to terrorize their neighbors and call it serving their country. So I think it's only fair if they take it a step further and actually serve their country. Away from their country. Benefit us all. Next is a popular pick for most, Barron Trump. Think of the example it would give. You know, even the president's son is a part of the fight, even though his father evaded the draft. Right some wrongs. And in that same breath, let's send Yair Netanyahu. He spends enough time in the US, I think it's time he becomes a part of it by joining the draft. Next is January 6ers. You know, I really hear that they enjoy the process of regime change, and they seem to think that they know how to achieve it. So why not send them too? The USA men's hockey team. Apparently, they're really patriotic and love their country, so it only makes sense. Anyone who says they voted for this in relation to immigrants and deportation, because you know what? You actually voted for this war too, so go ahead and fight for it and show us how proud you are of it. And on the opposite end of it all, anyone who didn't vote at all, because genuinely, what the fuck is wrong with you? Next up is red pill male podcasters and streamers, because they really love to talk about how they're big, tough, manly men. So why don't you show us how big, tough, manly men you are and fight in a war? You know, go show us how strong you are before you run away screaming and crying within the first 6 seconds. Kid Rock. You know, I saw that video of him with RFK, and his biceps are a good, 2 inches around, and that should be enough, right? And if it makes him feel better, he can also take RFK with him. That's fine. We can make an exception. Next is that guy at the TP USA halftime show that sang that song, and he was like, oh, I just want to cut my grass, fuck my cousin, drink my beer. Mostly because I think he's weird. And, maybe fighting in a war will help him be able to, cut his grass, fuck his cousin, and drink his beer. And last but not least, one of my favorites, everybody on the Epstein list, mostly because it'll be really fun to watch them die. That's all. Those are my draft picks. Get packing.
The crazy part is, if y'all really think y'all are going to get anyone in Gen Z or lower to go into this fucking war, you're fucking stupid. We're not doing that. That shit's not happening. Now, if you want to make it interesting, slap a solid $500K at my feet. I might consider it. I might consider it. But you can't threaten me with going to jail if I don't do it, because I'll go to jail. I'll just walk to jail. I'll take myself. You know what I'm saying? Don't even worry. I'll go. You know what I'm saying? Willingly. But you can't threaten me with that. So, I don't know what you want to tell me. You know what I'm saying? Go to war or go to jail, I'm going to jail. 10 times out of 10, every time. But if you want to say, go to war, $500K right here, and $10,000 every time you kill someone?
Military draft, are you fucking kidding me? You think that Gen Z and millennials, younger millennials, are going to go get drafted to fight in the Iran war? You've got to be outside of your fucking minds. Two of the most unserious generations. Two of the generations that have gotten fucked over the most with policies of the last 20 fucking years. We can't afford shit. I think this generation is going to sign up and fight a war for Benjamin Netanyahu and the guy that is all over the files that is clearly distracting from it. You've got to be outside your mind. If you thought fragging was bad in Vietnam, just fucking wait. Just wait.
Breaking news. So the United States Congress are debating a proposal that will require women to register for the military draft, just like men from the age of 18 to 25 has to do. And their argument is they would like the system to be more equal and reflect the modern role of women serving in the military. So ladies, let me know what you guys think. You guys ready to get drafted?
They really did it. You're not going to believe the date they chose, too. I think somebody at the Department of War has jokes. So it turns out they're going to raise the recruitment age to 42. Right now it's 35. Doesn't sound like a big deal. All right, 7 years older, people can be recruited. Now, if you're in already, obviously you can be well over 42 years old. A lot of people are. But for the first time recruitment, 42 is the new number. I'm thinking, why didn't they make it 40 or 45? Why 42? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Because again, I think they've got jokes. Because on top of that, they announced that you can also be recruited if you've had a previous conviction for smoking, how do I say it, the Mary Jane. the wacky tobacco, the reefer. You know what I'm saying, right? So you can also be recruited if you got a conviction for that. You're like, well, how are they two connected? It's a good question. How are they connected? 42 instead of 40 or 45. And the date they decided to make that recruitment eligibility, make that happen for a previous conviction for, you know what I'm saying? 420. They've got jokes. Come on!
Okay, parents, I need y'all ears, because the little birdie then chirped in and told me something. Baby, they say Donald Trump has already signed some kind of executive order. Y'all can go back and fact check me. Saying that he's going to do a major draft for the military. I told y'all that man called my phone and somebody jumped in my comments and said I was telling the tale. Baby, I ain't got to lie. But they said they doing a draft for young men and women between the ages of 18 and 25 to join the military to prepare for war. Now my question to you guys are, what are y'all gonna do when they come knocking at your door asking for your child? Because I already know what I'm gonna do, but I ain't gonna tell y'all on here. But they says the penalty for not enlisting your child, son or daughter, that's between the ages of 18 and 25 into the military is up to 5 years imprisonment and also a $250,000 fine. Who they think they talking to? Is you okay, B? Listen, I'm not letting my baby go fight in no war that he ain't started. So they need to go ahead and get all their children together. All y'all that was at the round table when y'all made the decision in the middle of the night to go to war, y'all need to get y'all kids together and put them out there and let them go handle it for y'all, because our kids ain't going. And if you feel me, parents, drop down in the comments. Let's talk about this thing, because who they think they talking to? Not us. Let's talk about it, y'all.
Is this why Gen Z and young millennials have been feeling hopeless about our future? Because they have basically set us up to feel this way, so that way we can just be prepared for the war. You know, this is like the end goal. We feel hopeless, we die for the country, and that's our purpose. You know, our purpose is to serve for the Great Reset. We are meant to be sent out there and die. That's funny, right? Because if you really think about it, a lot of people are feeling hopeless about the future. What do we do with people who have no future? Cut it off. End it. You know, what a great setup.
The U.S. Army will now take troops as old as 42. The cutoff used to be 35, but as of this week, they've raised it by 7 whole years. And apparently now they don't even care if you've been smoking the reefer. Boys, hear me when I say this, the draft is coming. You thought you were safe, but you are going to war.
Listen here, America. For those who don't know, this was already mandatory. They just made it automatic now. I mean, if you're a millennial male, chances are your ass got registered and you ain't even know it. You thought you was subscribing to ESPN magazine and your ass didn't declare for the draft. So that being said, this bill shouldn't even really have y'all tripping for real. But what got me tripping is the idea of Gen Z going to war. You see, America, I think you need to just pull the idea of a draft off the table altogether, because it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. You see, us millennials were already hard-headed, but Gen Z is like us on our worst day. They real manure stompers, which means they really stepping on shit and don't give a damn about authority. Not from parents, teachers, bosses, officers, nobody. And I've always been taught the art of war is like a game of chess. Well, this is the gaming era. They playing 2K. All they know how to do is flick the trigger to shoot. So once again, you can't rule the reckless. Having a team full of crash outs is a recipe for disaster. But it don't stop there. This is also a boom on anime. So you're gonna have that one person try to walk to the front line while under attack talking about, don't worry, I got this. Here it is. And this is also the era of social anxiety and depression. You're gonna have people isolating themselves from their own damn camp. You're gonna be outnumbered. Like, come on, bro. And last but not least, don't even get me started on the YouTubers and the live streamers. They're gonna be trying to prank you mid-war. Talk about, yo, it's a prank, it's a prank. You gonna be fighting 2 wars at once, America.
All getting drafted to World War III very, very soon. Yes, you and me, everybody that's over the age of 18 will be drafted to World War III. Especially if you're in college or if you only just graduated high school, best believe you're the main one to get chosen. My problem with this is why are they not taking the YNs? You feel me? The young niggas that just like to shoot things and play games all day and smoke. Why not take them? Just let them die first. Why just let our lives go to complete waste? Or let the older niggas go. They don't even have much time left. Look, just don't choose me, bruh. Please.
So guys, why did the US House of Representatives literally pass a bill that forced every single male 18 to 26 to be signed up for the draft? So they passed a measure to automatically register men for the Selective Service, updating requirements for the first time in decades. That's a little suspicious because before this, guys, you had to sign up yourself because if you did sign up, you could go to college and get a job and stuff like that. But if you didn't sign up, you couldn't get those benefits, but you didn't have to like force yourself to sign up. Well, now everyone has to sign up no matter what. Funny how they can automatically sign you up to kill or be killed, but can't automatically sign you up to vote. Very interesting. Let them try to draft Americans and watch how fast this country burns to the ground. We're not dying for pedophiles. Yeah, guys, what do y'all think about this in the comments? If you're 18 to 26, are you scared about this? Because now you have to join if they talk to you. So, you're cooked, man. Wait, oh god, I'm 19.
So with the talk of there being a draft, I will give you guys ways that you could possibly avoid being drafted. Obviously, it'll be between the ages of 18 and 25. If you are between those ages and you do get drafted, if you decide not to go when you are drafted, there's a fine or there's a prison sentence, which is really extreme, considering that the person who might do the draft avoided the draft because he had money, but we're not going to talk about that. So here's some key things that will disqualify you. If you have respiratory issues such as like asthma or pneumonia within the last 3 months, or any type of reactive disease, you are disqualified. If you have any mental health problems, now obviously this is diagnosed, so it can't just be like, oh, my mental health is struggling. You have to be actually diagnosed. There's obviously like psychosis, autism, and then ADD, ADHD, and then a plethora of other things. Cardiovascular and blood issues, that's like hypertension, coronary artery disease, heart valve disease, or any history of blood clots. Obviously there's more options as well. Any orthopedic problems, so like scoliosis, joint instability, or limitations in motion. Obviously, a lot of you know about being flat-footed. If you're flat-footed, you will be disqualified. Any neurological disorders, such as like seizures, epilepsy, or concussions that happened recently, or if you have any type of STD, such as AIDS or HIV, or any type of severe allergies, cancer, or obesity, you will be disqualified. There's some other ways you can enlist in another branch of the military. You can register as a conscientious objector. You can get married and have some kids, which I do not recommend. You can claim a medical condition, as I stated earlier, or you can just flee the country, which I think is like a really good option, honestly. I'm not even gonna lie.
I just don't see any benefit in joining the war. Like, it's not my problem. You know, I'm minding my own business here. I'm chilling over here. Why not leave us alone? You know, if people want to get drafted, so be it, you know, be a hero. But for people who don't want to get drafted, just leave us alone, you know? Otherwise, we'll just take the jail route. Ah, man. I mean, if you are really being forced to join, there's loopholes out there that you could do. You know, you could pretend to be blind. You can pretend to be dumb. You can pretend to be disabled. I don't know, something. But they're not gonna try to force us. You know, it's not gonna happen.